website. I just could not believe what I see. This is what they want to do. Here are a few of the many areas the PPPs wish to restructure. Are you ready? Airports, construction, corrections and justice, education, environment, facility services, finance, healthcare, infrastructure, insurance, international legislative issues, management, public safety, public works, public services, real estate, recreation, representation, research, solid waste, technology, transportation, utilities, water, and wastewater. And right now, as we speak, they are trying to negotiate something on the international level to advance the privatization of water. They have a committee put together, or a consortium is a better word, and guess who they invited to the table? Nestle's. Now, what has Nestle's done in the United States? Nestle's been all over Michigan extracting water to the point where there are farms, there are people whose wells have gone dry because of the volume of water that Nestle's has been pumping out, paying a very low price for the water to pump it out, process it, bottle it, and sell it. And has anybody noticed the water in our grocery stores? The whole aisle is bottled water. People, they've already privatized your water. Turning this around isn't going to be easy, but I see no choice but to do it. Chris?
Mm-hmm. Well, you're exactly right on topic, of course, this morning, Anita. The fascist oligarchical corporatocracy, which is being posed as a dividing force between the corporation and we the people, the rights of the individual, is being assimilated in a global fashion. This is exactly the premise of Agenda 21, the International Property Maintenance Code, and the International Council or International Code Council, which seeks to have global control over all aspects of human needs and be able to dictate what we are able to use, not use, how we can use it, what we can use, and all aspects of human existence under the guise of being able to properly manage the human resources, or chattel goyim, that they seek to dominate or demonize and demonically dominate under their Talmudic schemes of global control of Luciferian Satanism.
Well, I can't say I disagreed with anything you said, and I really appreciate your usage of the term corporatocracy, because that's what I'm trying to get out to people, that they're using the corporate structure. And as I spoke with Deatra, somehow what has happened, and I understand there's also this subplot, Chris, I absolutely agree with you, but if when I stood back, I said, okay, who created this corporation? And you realize, well, it was humans who sat down with pen and pencil and they put words and they made laws. They created this corporation. Then, like morons, they turned around and gave it the rights of a human, so that now, instead of the humans being in control of the corporation, so that it doesn't steal our water and poison our water and destroy our soil, we've got the humans subservient to the corporations. They get the rights to go in and steal water. They get the rights to do fracking. They go into our national parks and do gas extraction. They are doing logging in areas that were shut off to the public in the state of Washington. So somehow, people, we've lost control of the corporation for sure. But Chris is right. It was not an accident.
Right, exactly. Hey, just real quick, I want to invite callers with comments or questions to call in at 347-324-3704. And for anyone who is not aware, we have a very active chat room at freedomizerradio.com, and we would love to have your comments and questions. So that's just to let everybody know. Okay, go ahead, Chris. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, I was just going to say, Anita is touching on so many very, very important topics. We had a recent decision that's caused much controversy because of the lack of clearly delineated interpretation because of the limitations on the Supreme Court's ability to delve into other areas that are specifically limited by their design to get outside the size and scope of the absolute confines of the question that is posited under the actions that are brought before them. And I'm talking about Citizens United. Citizens United, as you recall, Chief Justice, the Honorable Chief Justice Samuel Alito, nodded in rebuttal to Obama's insinuations that they had done this or that. Well, they answered the question that was posed to them. What they weren't able to expositively expound on was the question of, does the corporation have more rights than a mere private individual? I suggest not, had the question be clearly framed. I suggest that a corporate entity has no more rights to contribute nor vote nor exonerations from the same limitations that a private individual does, and therefore is limited in the same capacity as a private individual in a one vote, one entity designation, and should have the same $2,500 limitations placed upon the corporate existence as a private individual does, and not be able to contribute in the form of a super PAC.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it would be nice if the corporation could be subject to the death penalty like people are, wouldn't it?
Oh, I've never seen one executed other than maybe if you consider Obama's gifting of our Chrysler Motor Company to the fascist government of Italy.
Yeah. But I mean, here the corporations want the rights of human flesh and blood people. Well, good. Then they should get, as a flesh and blood person, I can go to jail. I can be executed. Let's get these puppies in jail. And if they kill, like in Bhopal, where is the penalty for killing all those people?
Union Carbide.
Pardon?
Monsanto and Union Carbide you're speaking of there specifically.
Well, those CEOs, where's the death penalty for them?
Absolutely. And this is the fallacy in the construct of the Talmudic corporation, the UCC, and the national, global supranational corporations. You spoke of the lands being seized up by private corporations and sold off. These are foreign nationals who are gaining specific Trojan horse-type access to our the resources of lands that belong to we the people, and are being sold off by private individuals in their private capacities to benefit their own private pocketbooks. Bill Clinton, in fact, created the Nature Conservancy Project, which claimed all the assets of the national parks to private foreign corporate ownerships, which is why you have to now pay to access your own private parks.
Which I'm so glad you brought that up, because so many people talk about Agenda 21, Chris, as they're throwing, they're saving the salmon, or they're saving some creature, and I'm like, no, that's not what they're doing. That's what they're telling the environmentalists. But what they're doing is they're ransacking for resources.
Anita?
Go ahead, please.
Anita?
Oh.
Yes.
I've been studying this stuff for quite a while. This is Drake.
Yeah.
Some of the things that, first of all, ain't right, but have been done anyway, is that not only have certain courts ruled that people do not have a right to water, a right to food or its control, and things of this nature, have been adjudicated. Now, the other part of this, it deals with some of the fine print in your global and North American free trade acts, things of that nature.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The efforts being made, that have been made, that are designed to set the country free in terms of the projects that we worked on, supersedes all of any of the regulations, laws, agreements, treaties, etc., from the date of the founding documents forward.
Can I do a happy dance?
Okay. Well, these are parts of the legalities that people are not aware of in terms of what is going to be coming down the road.
That is so wonderful.
Well, you got to understand, too, the World Health Organization and a whole load of physicians and scientists who promulgate the whatever agenda they want to put out at the time are all going to come down. This is a part of the targeting of the difference between people being free, subject to big pharmaca, big farming, and the governmental regulatory entities that they're dealing with, like the EPA or the UN capability of reaching into a country and doing whatever it feels like it wants to do. These things are all coming to an end. So be aware of that, and don't get sidetracked into the two specific areas rather than the general areas. In short, the only thing that came up in the court was the right of a human being to have water. The problem where that comes from was not addressed. If you start going back to the origins and addressing that, then you take care of everything that the EPA, as an example, does.
So then you're saying...
I just wanted to put that in.
Well, good. I think that's wonderful. So maybe I could kind of rephrase, if you don't mind, Drake. The lady I met in Michigan, who has her farm, and Nestle's is there extracting her water and leaving her without, her well is dry, and now she can't sell the farm because nobody wants to buy a farm that doesn't have water. Now, you're saying that is going to stop.
Well, not only that, but there's a few other things that have gone on. I would suggest that there be a check done in terms of her ownership. In a lot of states, people don't know this, when you buy a property, 9 times out of 10, you also have what's called an unwritten contract that stipulates that someone may not come on your property or the property next to you and dry up your basic requirements for existence. That includes minerals, that includes water, that includes a bunch of things. The premise of this, a lot of people will say, oh, mineral rights. Well, 9 times out of 10, you'll find that the property does not allow anyone to usurp your mineral rights without your permission, among other things. These are the attacks that are being made in federal court against these corporations who feel like they can do anything they want to include Nestle. They have a load of lawsuits that are after them.
Yes.
In the meantime, you're in trouble. It takes a little while to get these things accomplished.
Right.
But, yes, and it is a very good possibility. Now, I've not looked into the Ohio statutes as an example. I'm in a different state, so consequently, I found out what it was in this state and what the requirements are. If they don't have permission, they cannot, even if they have the permission of a landowner next to you, they're not allowed to use up all the water.
Well,
this has already been through many of the courts, as an example, in Florida. Mm-hmm. And in the near future, when they have a freeze, instead of being able to pump all the water out of the ground and spray it on their orange trees, they're going to be able to only use water that's directly available to them in the same amounts that they normally use. And what that means is that they cannot pump everybody's well dry in an area that gets a hard freeze in Florida to protect the oranges.
Well,
in other words, these things are beginning to happen now. I don't know, like I say, I don't know. Is the lady located in Ohio?
No, she's in Michigan, but what I found in Ohio when I did my research, which is probably going to, I don't know what states your other callers are from, but when I did my research, this is what I discovered. The Ohio Constitution says one thing, then the legislature comes along and does a statutory dealy-bob in a different direction, and we have not found a way to force the legislature to not stomp on the Constitution. They just ignore it, basically.
Okay, well, that's pretty simple. There are legal ways to challenge the constitutionality of any legislation or a person who holds a seat, etc. primarily what you're going to end up having to do is validate the Constitution in terms of what you're talking about specifically.
Okay.
As that is